The station was quieter than usual, the kind of slow afternoon where paperwork stacked higher than urgency. Officer Daniel Reeves leaned back in his chair, the soft hum of radios blending with the smell of old coffee and disinfectant. At his feet, Rex, his seasoned K9 partner, lay calmly, ears half raised, breathing steady. It was an ordinary moment, the kind Daniel trusted. Then Rex stood. Not with excitement. With purpose. He moved across the room and stopped beside a small, forgotten teddy bear resting on a bench near the lockers. The bear was worn, one button eye missing, its fur flattened by years of being held too tight. Rex positioned himself directly in front of it, broad chest blocking anyone from getting close. A low whine vibrated from his throat, controlled, insistent. "Easy, buddy," Daniel murmured, standing. Rex didn't look back. When another officer reached for the bear, Rex barked once, sharp, final, and shifted his weight, paws planted. His tail trembled. His nose pressed to the air, inhaling something no one else could sense. Daniel felt a prickle crawl up his arms. Rex had alerted before: drugs, explosives, danger, but never like this. Never over a toy. The room's light laughter faded. Radios went quiet. Daniel's chest tightened as Rex nudged the bear closer to the wall, then sat in front of it, eyes locked on the doorway as if waiting for something to return. Daniel swallowed. Rex was protecting it. And whatever the dog sensed, whatever clung to that small broken teddy bear, was powerful enough to make a trained K9 defy every command he knew. Moments later, everything changed. Before we continue, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more heart-touching dog stories. And tell me, where are you watching from? The afternoon settled gently over the station. Not rushed. Not heavy. Just slow enough to notice the small things. Sunlight slid through the tall front windows, catching dust in the air and turning it gold. The radio on the far desk murmured low, a dispatcher's voice blending with the soft clicking of keyboards. Somewhere down the hall, a coffee machine hissed inside, releasing the bitter, familiar smell that clung to the building like a second uniform. Officer Daniel Reeves leaned back in his chair. The vinyl creaked beneath him. He rolled his shoulders once, easing the stiffness that came from hours of reports and quiet vigilance. Outside, traffic moved in an unhurried stream. Inside, the station breathed, calm, alert, waiting. At his feet lay Rex. The German Shepherd rested on his side, legs tucked neatly, tail relaxed. His coat was dark and clean, brushed that morning as part of their routine. One ear lay half flat against the floor while the other stayed upright, tuned to everything and nothing at once. Daniel glanced down and smiled. "You good, buddy?" he murmured. Rex's tail gave a slow single thump. They had worked together for 4 years. Long enough that silence between them felt natural. Long enough that Daniel trusted Rex's instincts more than his own on most days. Rex wasn't young anymore. Not old. But seasoned. His movements were economical. His reactions precise. He didn't waste energy. Not physically, not emotionally. When Rex reacted, it meant something. That knowledge sat quietly in Daniel's chest as he turned back to his screen. Across the room, 2 officers joked softly about dinner plans. Another flipped through a file, humming under his breath. The front desk phone rang once, then stopped. Normal. Comfortably normal. Near the lockers, almost unnoticed, sat a small teddy bear. It rested on a wooden bench, slumped slightly to one side. Its fur was pale brown, worn thin in places. One plastic eye was missing, leaving behind a dark stitch that looked like it had been repaired more than once. A faded blue ribbon was knotted loosely around its neck. No one remembered when it had arrived. Maybe it had been dropped during a visit. Maybe brought in with lost property. Maybe left behind after a long, difficult night. It didn't stand out. Until Rex noticed it. First, it was subtle. Daniel felt it more than saw it. A shift in the air, a tightening of attention. Rex's breathing changed. Slower. Deeper. Then the dog's ears lifted. Fully alert now. Rex's head rose from the floor, neck stretching as his nose tilted toward the bench. His nostrils flared once. Twice. Daniel turned. "What is it?" he asked softly. Rex didn't answer with movement. Not yet. He stayed still, too still. Muscles engaged beneath his coat. Tail no longer loose. Eyes fixed on the teddy bear with quiet intensity. Daniel frowned. Rex had smelled drugs from 30 feet away. Had detected explosives sealed in steel. Had alerted to danger before sirens ever sounded. But this? A toy. Daniel watched as Rex stood. Not suddenly. Not with urgency. He rose the way a professional does, controlled, deliberate. Each paw placed carefully on the floor as he crossed the room. The soft clack of his nails echoed louder than it should have. One officer glanced up. "What's Rex doing?" Daniel didn't answer. Rex stopped directly in front of the bench. The teddy bear sat inches from his chest. Rex lowered his head and sniffed again. His tail stiffened just slightly. His ears angled forward then outward, reading the room. Then he did something Daniel had never seen before. Rex stepped forward and positioned his body between the teddy bear and the open space of the station, blocking it, protecting it. A low sound came from his throat. Not a growl. Not a bark. A whine, steady, controlled, layered with urgency. Daniel stood up slowly. "Rex," he said, calm but firm. "Heel." The command echoed softly. Rex didn't move. Instead, he nudged the teddy bear gently with his nose, pushing it closer to the wall, then sat down directly in front of it. Guarding. The room began to change. Laughter faded. Chairs stopped creaking. Even the radio seemed quieter, as if aware something delicate was unfolding. One of the younger officers chuckled nervously. "Guess he likes stuffed animals." Daniel didn't smile. He watched Rex's posture. The straight spine. The anchored paws. The way his eyes kept flicking to the entrance, then back to the bear. Rex wasn't playing. He was waiting. Another officer approached the bench, hand extended. "Let me just move." Rex barked. Once. Sharp. Clear. Final. The officer froze. Rex didn't bare teeth. Didn't lunge. He simply shifted his weight forward, tail trembling now, chest broad and immovable. Daniel's pulse picked up. "Everyone stop," he said quietly. Rex's nose lifted again, drawing in a long breath. His ears twitched at sounds no one else seemed to hear. Distant footsteps outside, a car door closing, the wind brushing the flagpole. Daniel felt a chill crawl up his arms. This wasn't defiance. This was instinct. Whatever Rex sensed, whatever story clung to that worn teddy bear, was strong enough to override training, routine, and command. Daniel swallowed. He trusted Rex. And for the first time since they'd been paired, he realized this wasn't about what Rex had found. It was about who. Rex sat taller. Alert. Protective. Waiting. And somewhere beyond the station walls, something unseen was moving closer. Moments later, everything would change. No one touched the teddy bear. Not after that bark. The station held its breath. Daniel stayed where he was, standing a few feet behind Rex. He loosened his shoulders, slowed his breathing. He'd learned early on that dogs felt tension before words ever reached them. "All right," he said gently. "Everyone give him space." Shoes shuffled back. Chairs scraped softly. The open room widened around Rex and the bench. Rex didn't look at Daniel. That alone was unusual. Normally, even in high-alert situations, Rex flicked an ear back to him. A silent check-in. A shared awareness. Now, his attention was anchored forward, body angled slightly, guarding the teddy bear like it was fragile and irreplaceable. Daniel crouched slowly. The floor was cool under his palm as he rested one hand down, keeping his voice low. Calm. Familiar. "Easy, buddy," he whispered. "Talk to me." Rex's ears twitched. His tail didn't wag. The dog leaned forward just enough to nudge the teddy bear again, pressing it firmly against the wall. The motion was gentle, careful, almost respectful. Daniel felt something tighten in his chest. Rex didn't treat objects like this. Evidence was neutral. Tools were ignored. Toys, if they ever appeared, were irrelevant. This wasn't interest. This was protection. One of the officers cleared his throat. Could be a scent transfer, he said, trying to sound rational. Kid drops a bear, maybe had food on it. Or, Rex whined. Soft. Persistent. Daniel raised a hand, silencing the speculation. He studied Rex the way trainers were taught, not as a dog but as a system of signals. The set of his shoulders. The tension along his spine. The way his breathing stayed even controlled despite the alert. This wasn't fear. It was focus. Daniel reached for his leash. The metal clasp clicked softly. Rex, he said. Come. Nothing. The word hung there unacknowledged. Daniel tried again, quieter this time. Rex, heel. The dog's ears flattened for half a second. Not in submission. In refusal. A ripple of unease moved through the room. Rex had been trained from puppyhood. Hundreds of hours. Thousands of repetitions. He'd worked crowds, chaos, gunfire, shouting, alarms. And yet, he did not move. Daniel straightened slowly. Okay, he said. Nobody touched the bear. Nobody crowd him. Another officer leaned in, voice lowered. You think it's dangerous? Daniel hesitated. He scanned Rex again. No hackles raised. No stiffness in the jaw. No signs of imminent threat. No, he said finally. I think it's important. That answer didn't satisfy anyone. But it felt right. Time stretched. Minutes passed. Rex adjusted his position slightly, angling his body more squarely in front of the teddy bear. His paw brushed against it. Not pushing, not pulling, just touching as if confirming it was still there. His nose hovered close, drawing in slow, measured breaths. Daniel noticed something else then. Rex wasn't just guarding the bear. He was guarding the space around it. Every time someone shifted in the room, Rex's eyes tracked the movement. Not sharply. Not aggressively. Assessing. Waiting. Daniel walked a slow circle, keeping distance, watching from different angles. From the side, he noticed how Rex's weight leaned subtly toward the entrance. The front doors of the station. Like he was expecting someone to come through them. The realization settled heavy. Dispatch, Daniel said quietly, tapping his radio. Any reports involving a child today? Missing items, disturbances? Anything small? Static crackled. Stand by, came the reply. The station lights hummed overhead. Outside, clouds drifted across the sun, dimming the room just enough to shift the mood. The gold warmth faded into something cooler, more serious. Rex whined again. This time Daniel heard something else in it. Not urgency. Concern. Daniel crouched once more, keeping his voice low, intimate. You're doing good, he said. I see you. Rex's tail gave a single tight movement. Not a wag. Acknowledgement. Another officer whispered. I've never seen him like this. Daniel nodded slowly. Neither have I. Someone suggested the bear be placed in evidence. Another suggested a K9 override command. Someone laughed nervously, trying to lighten the moment. None of it landed. Because Rex stayed. Perfectly still. Perfectly present. Minutes turned into nearly 20. Rex did not sit down. He did not relax. He did not disengage. His body language never escalated, but it never softened either. It was as if he was holding a line, waiting for the moment he'd been trained for. Or something training had never covered. Finally, dispatch came back. Daniel, the voice said, quieter now. We had a call earlier from the hospital. Pediatric wing. A child brought in under emergency circumstances. Personal item listed, a stuffed bear. Description matches. The words seemed to drop straight into the floor. Daniel closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, Rex was staring at the door again. Daniel felt it then, the slow sinking weight of understanding. This wasn't about scent. This wasn't about danger. This was about someone who couldn't speak for themselves. Someone who'd lost something that mattered. Rex shifted his stance, subtle, deliberate, as if bracing. The front doors hadn't opened yet. But Rex knew. He always did. And he wasn't leaving that teddy bear. Not until the reason revealed itself. The station didn't return to normal. It couldn't. Not with Rex sitting there like a quiet sentinel, body steady, eyes alert, guarding something most people would have stepped over without a second glance. The teddy bear stayed pressed against the wall. So did Rex. Daniel asked for the area around the bench to be cleared. An officer moved a chair back. Another turned off the radio at the front desk. The station seemed to shrink inward, the way rooms do when attention narrows to a single point. The bear. Someone finally broke the silence with a half smile and a shrug. I mean, it's just a toy, right? No one laughed. Daniel didn't respond right away. He stood near Rex now, close enough to feel the warmth coming off his coat. Rex smelled faintly of soap and pavement in the outdoors, familiar, grounding. Just a toy, Daniel repeated quietly. He watched Rex's ears flick at the words. The dog's eyes didn't soften. They sharpened. Rex leaned forward just enough to block the bench completely, his shoulder brushing Daniel's leg. The contact was brief, deliberate. A reminder. Daniel exhaled slowly. Rex has never alerted to an object without reason, he said. His voice stayed calm even. Especially not like this. Another officer nodded. Could be something hidden inside it. That was my first thought, Daniel admitted. But he'd be showing different cues. He gestured subtly. He's not tracking contraband. He's not marking threat. He's guarding. Rex shifted again, nose lowering toward the bear. He inhaled carefully, then lifted his head and looked toward the hallway that led to the interview rooms. He whined. Soft. Controlled. Almost questioning. Daniel followed his gaze. Empty hallway. For now. A female officer crossed her arms, thinking. Dispatch said the hospital called earlier. Pediatric emergency. Kid came in with nothing but the clothes they were wearing. Her voice softened at the end. Daniel nodded. And a teddy bear. Silence followed. Someone rubbed their hands together. Another cleared his throat. It could have been left here by accident, someone said, still trying to hold on to normal explanations. Kids forget stuff all the time. Rex let out a short breath through his nose. Not a sound. A signal. Daniel had seen it before, that controlled exhale when Rex disagreed. Daniel crouched beside him again, careful not to cross the invisible boundary Rex had drawn. He studied the teddy bear more closely now. The fur was matted in places, especially around the arms and ears, the way stuffed animals looked when they'd been held during sleep. There were faint stains near one foot, old and faded. A child's handwriting marked the tag, letters smudged beyond recognition. This bear had been loved. Deeply. Daniel reached out slowly, palm open, stopping well short of the bear. Okay, he said quietly. Tell me. Rex didn't look at him, but his tail gave a tiny tight flick. Agreement. Not permission. The station door opened briefly as someone stepped out to take a call. Rex's head snapped up. His ears locked forward. Then he relaxed again just a fraction when the door closed. Daniel noticed the pattern. Rex wasn't reacting to noise. He was reacting to possibility. Time dragged. The station clock ticked louder than usual. Sunlight shifted, now lower, casting longer shadows across the floor. Dust drifted through the air, slow and visible. Someone suggested bringing in the bomb squad, half joking. Daniel shook his head. No, that's not what this is. How do you know? The officer asked. Daniel glanced at Rex. Because he's not afraid, he said. He's patient. Rex's posture never wavered. He wasn't pacing. He wasn't restless. He wasn't stressed. He was waiting. Waiting the way dogs do when they know something is supposed to happen, and hasn't yet. Daniel stood and walked toward the front desk. He kept his movements unhurried, casual. Rex tracked him with his eyes but didn't move. That mattered. At the desk, Daniel picked up the phone and dialed the hospital. The line rang twice. Pediatric admissions, a nurse answered. This is Officer Reeves, Daniel said. We had a call earlier about a missing personal item. A teddy bear. There was a pause. Then a soft sigh. Yes, the nurse said. The child keeps asking for it. Daniel closed his eyes briefly. How old? He asked. 6, she replied. Nonverbal at the moment. Trauma-related. The bear is grounding for them. Daniel swallowed. I think we have it. When he hung up, the station felt heavier. Quieter. Rex shifted his weight again, as if sensing the conversation had reached a turning point. His tail loosened just a touch, not relaxed but hopeful. Daniel walked back toward him. Okay, he whispered. You were right. Rex's ears twitched. But he didn't move. Because being right wasn't enough. Not yet. The door at the end of the hallway creaked faintly. Footsteps echoed. Rex's body tensed. Not in alarm but in readiness. This wasn't the end of the waiting. It was the beginning of understanding. And suddenly that worn teddy bear wasn't just a toy anymore. It was a lifeline. And Rex knew exactly who it belonged to. The station seemed to exhale. Not in relief, in recognition. Whatever this was, it had weight now. Meaning. A shape everyone could finally sense, even if they didn't fully understand it yet. Rex remained where he was. Guarding. The teddy bear rested against the wall, its faded ribbon brushing the floor. The late afternoon light had dimmed, clouds sliding across the sun outside. Overhead, the fluorescent lights hummed softly, steady and indifferent. No one joked anymore. No one speculated. They spoke in low voices, if at all. Daniel stood near Rex, hands resting loosely at his sides. He felt the quiet working its way through the room, the kind of silence that asks for respect. Rex's breathing stayed slow, measured. His eyes tracked movement with careful restraint. When someone shifted in their chair, he noticed. When footsteps passed outside the glass doors, his ears angled forward. Always listening. Always waiting. Daniel caught himself mirroring the dog, slowing down, becoming deliberate. The years with Rex had trained him too. A dispatcher's voice murmured faintly from the radio room down the hall. Somewhere a printer clicked to life, then stopped. Rex didn't react. Because those sounds weren't what he was listening for. Daniel leaned slightly toward one of the officers. I want the front area kept clear, he said quietly. No sudden movements. The officer nodded and relayed the message. The bench stayed empty except for the bear. Rex's presence filled the space. Minutes passed. Then 10 more. The station clock clicked over with a soft mechanical sound. Rex shifted his stance, subtle but purposeful, turning his body a few degrees more toward the front doors. His paws repositioned, bracing. His tail lifted just slightly, not stiff, not loose. Prepared. Daniel noticed the change immediately. Something's coming, he murmured. He didn't know why he said it out loud. But Rex's ears flicked back for a fraction of a second. Agreement. Outside, a car door closed. Footsteps approached. They were light, uneven. Rex's head rose. His body went still. The air in the station tightened. Daniel felt it in his chest. That held breath before a storm, except this storm was quiet. Human. Fragile. The glass doors opened. A woman stepped inside. She wore a hospital badge clipped to her jacket, her shoulders drawn inward as if she were holding herself together by force of will. Her eyes scanned the room, cautious, searching. Behind her, a small figure hovered. The child stayed half hidden, fingers gripping the woman's sleeve. Too small for the oversized hoodie they wore. Shoes scuffed and mismatched. Rex didn't bark. He didn't lunge. He didn't move at all. But something in him softened. Just a little. His tail lowered an inch. His ears eased outward, no longer sharply forward. Recognition. The child's eyes landed on Rex. They widened. Not with fear. With focus. The room stayed silent. The woman hesitated, unsure whether to move forward. Daniel stepped closer, raising a hand gently. It's okay, he said. You can come in. The child took one small step. Then stopped. Their gaze drifted past Rex to the bench. To the teddy bear. Something shifted. A sound escaped the child's throat. Not a word. Not a cry. Just a breath pulled too sharply, as if their chest couldn't quite keep up with the moment. The woman noticed. Her hand tightened on the child's sleeve. Is that? Daniel nodded. Yes. Rex turned his head slowly. He followed the child's movement with calm attention, body still guarding the bear, but his posture changing, opening, inviting. The child took another step. Rex didn't retreat, but he did something extraordinary. He lowered himself, front legs first, chest to the floor, head dipping low, a posture of trust. The teddy bear remained between his paws. The child's steps grew quicker. The woman inhaled sharply, hand lifting as if to stop them, then freezing. Rex stayed still, completely still. The child knelt down and reached out. Small fingers brushed the bear's worn fur. Rex didn't flinch. The child gathered the teddy bear into their arms, pressing it tight against their chest. Their shoulders shook once, twice. Then the sound came. A soft sob. The station didn't move. No one spoke. Rex stayed low, eyes gentle now, watching the child with something that looked a lot like relief. Daniel felt his throat tighten. The woman covered her mouth with one hand, tears spilling freely now. She whispered something Daniel couldn't hear. Maybe a thank you, maybe the child's name. Rex's tail gave a slow, careful wag. Just once. The bear was returned, but Rex didn't get up. He stayed there, head resting on his paws, guarding the space until he knew, truly knew, the moment had passed. Only then did the station begin to breathe again. For a long moment no one spoke. The child clutched the teddy bear as if it were the only solid thing left in the world. Their face was buried in its worn fur, small fingers gripping tight, knuckles pale with effort. Each breath came uneven, hitching in quiet waves that echoed softly in the stillness of the station. Rex stayed down. Not frozen. Not tense. Present. His eyes remained on the child, calm and steady, tracking every movement with gentle awareness. He didn't crowd. He didn't lean in. He simply stayed, a quiet anchor on the floor. Daniel felt something loosen inside his chest. The woman knelt beside the child now, one hand rubbing slow circles on their back. It's okay, she whispered. You've got it. You're safe. Her voice trembled, though she tried to hide it. The child nodded once, still holding the bear tight. Their breathing slowly began to even out. Only then did Rex shift. He lifted his head just slightly, ears relaxed, tail lying loose against the floor. He glanced up at Daniel, meeting his eyes for the first time since the teddy bear had arrived. Just a look said everything. Daniel exhaled. Rex, he said softly. The dog didn't move. Daniel didn't ask again. The woman looked up, wiping her cheeks with the back of her hand. He wouldn't let anyone touch it, she said quietly. The bear. Daniel nodded. No, he wouldn't. She glanced at Rex, something like awe flickering across her face. At the hospital, the doctor said my nephew wouldn't respond to anyone, wouldn't speak, wouldn't make eye contact. But when he realized the bear was missing, her voice broke. She took a breath. He shut down. Daniel crouched a few steps away, careful not to intrude. What happened? He asked gently. The woman hesitated. Then she spoke. He was found alone, she said. An apartment fire. Everyone else made it out, but he hid. Clutched that bear and hid. The room felt colder. Daniel glanced at Rex. The dog's ears twitched just once, as if absorbing the weight of her words. They brought him in with smoke inhalation, she continued. Physically, he'll recover. But emotionally, she shook her head. The doctor said the bear was the only thing grounding him. When it was gone, it was like he disappeared inside himself. Daniel swallowed. He looked at the teddy bear more closely now. The singed patch along one arm suddenly made sense. The faint smell beneath the layers of time. Not just old fabric but smoke. Rex lifted his nose slightly. He inhaled. Slow. Understanding settled in Daniel's mind like a puzzle piece finally clicking into place. That's what you smelled, Daniel murmured. Rex's tail thumped once against the floor. Soft. Certain. The dog hadn't been reacting to danger. He'd been reacting to trauma. The scent of fear. Of smoke. of a child who had held on to one small thing when everything else was burning. Rex had known. Somehow instinctively, he had known that the teddy bear wasn't just an object. It was a witness, a piece of safety that had survived something terrible. The child shifted slightly, lifting their head just enough to look at Rex. Their eyes were red-rimmed, tired, but there was curiosity there now. Rex didn't move. He let the child look. Then slowly, he slid one paw forward, stopping well short of the bear, resting it on the floor between them. An offering. The child hesitated, then reached out. Small fingers brushed Rex's paw. Rex stayed perfectly still. The woman gasped softly, pressing her lips together as tears returned. Daniel looked away, giving them the moment. When he glanced back, the child was sitting upright now, teddy bear still held close with one arm, the other resting gently against Rex's fur. Something had shifted. Not fixed, but softened. The woman looked up at Daniel. "They said dogs can sense things people can't," she whispered. "I didn't know it was like this." Daniel nodded. "Neither did I." Rex finally stood. Slowly, carefully. He took one step back, then another, giving the child space while never turning his back. His posture was relaxed now, job done. The hidden truth had surfaced. This had never been about obedience, or commands, or procedure. It had been about recognizing something broken, and protecting it until the right hands arrived. Rex returned to Daniel's side and sat, leaning lightly against his leg. Daniel rested a hand on his partner's head. "Good work," he whispered. Rex's ears flicked. He knew. And the station, once filled with confusion, now understood something deeper. Sometimes the most important things aren't marked as evidence. Sometimes they come wrapped in worn fabric, and guarded by a dog who refuses to move. The calm didn't last. It never does. Relief had just begun to settle when Rex's ears lifted again. Not sharply this time, but with alert concern. His head turned toward the child, then toward the woman kneeling beside them. Daniel felt it immediately. Something was wrong. The child's grip on the teddy bear tightened. Their breathing, which had just begun to steady, grew shallow again. Too fast. Too light. Their shoulders rose and fell in quick, uneven motions. The woman noticed at the same time. "Hey," she whispered urgently. "Hey, look at me." The child didn't respond. Their eyes fluttered, unfocused, fixed somewhere far away. The teddy bear slipped slightly in their grasp, then was pulled back with sudden force. A reflex instinctive, like clinging to a lifeline in deep water. Daniel moved without thinking. "Call EMS," he said calmly, already kneeling. "Now." A chair scraped back. A radio crackled to life. Rex stood. He didn't crowd. But he didn't retreat either. He stepped closer to the child, not touching, positioning himself just within their peripheral vision. Low. Non-threatening. Present. Daniel watched the dog's body language closely. Rex's tail was low and loose. His ears angled softly outward. His mouth slightly open, breathing slow. A calming signal. "Hey there," Daniel said gently to the child. "You're okay. You're here. You're safe." The words were simple. Grounding. The woman's hands trembled as she held the child's shoulders. "Stay with me," she whispered. "Please." Rex lowered himself again. Chest to the floor. Head level with the child's knees. He didn't look directly at them. Instead, he looked just past them, another subtle signal. No pressure. No demand. The child's breath hitched. Once. Twice. Rex exhaled slowly. A deep, deliberate breath. The kind trainers used to calm dogs. The kind dogs sometimes used to calm humans. The child's breathing began to mirror it. Just slightly. Daniel noticed. He always noticed. "Good," Daniel said softly. "That's good." Sirens sounded faintly in the distance. Still far. Still time. The child swayed forward suddenly, weight shifting dangerously. Daniel reached out, steadying them with a hand to the shoulder, firm, reassuring. Rex didn't flinch. He adjusted his position, placing himself closer now, his warmth radiating through the thin space between them. The teddy bear slipped again. Rex's nose moved instantly. He nudged it back toward the child's chest, gentle, precise. The child clutched it again. A small sound escaped their lips. Not a word. But not silence either. The woman gasped. He made a sound. Daniel nodded. He's here, he said. He's with us. Rex stayed exactly where he was. Minutes stretched. The station felt suspended. Every sound muted, every movement slowed. Officers stood back, watching with quiet respect, ready but not intruding. The sirens grew louder. Closer. The child's breathing steadied more with each passing moment. Not perfect, but no longer spiraling. Rex shifted just once, angling his body to block excess movement from the room, creating a small pocket of safety. Daniel realized something then. This wasn't a race in the way he'd known races before. No chase. No suspect. No flashing lights. This was a race to keep someone present. To keep them anchored in their body long enough for help to arrive. The doors burst open. Controlled, professional urgency filling the space as paramedics moved in with a stretcher and equipment. Rex stayed down. Still. The lead medic knelt quickly, assessing. Breathing shallow, she said. Panic response. Trauma-induced. The woman looked up, eyes wide. Is he going to be okay? The medic nodded. Yes. We've got him. Rex finally lifted his head. Just enough. The child's eyes fluttered again, this time landing on Rex. Their hand moved. Small fingers brushed the fur at Rex's neck. Rex didn't move. Didn't blink. The medic paused, watching. That dog's helping, she said quietly. Let him stay there. Daniel felt a tightness in his throat. Rex, he whispered. The dog remained. Until the medic gave a subtle nod. Only then did Rex rise and step back, returning to Daniel's side, job complete. As the child was carefully lifted onto the stretcher, the teddy bear was placed securely against their chest. The child's hand never let go. The stretcher rolled toward the doors. Just before they passed through, the child turned their head slightly. Their eyes met Rex's. And for the briefest moment, they smiled. The doors closed. The sirens faded. And the station stood very still, knowing that what Rex had protected wasn't just a toy. It was time. And time had been enough. The station felt different after they left. Quieter, not because sound was gone, but because something fragile had passed through and changed the air. Officers returned to their desks slowly. Chairs were pulled in. Papers straightened. The routine tried to resume. But no one rushed. Daniel stayed where he was for a long moment, one hand resting on Rex's shoulder. The dog leaned into the touch, solid and warm, his breathing finally deep and easy. The bench was empty now. Only a faint outline remained where the teddy bear had been pressed against the wall. A scuffed mark on the floor. Nothing more. And yet, everyone felt it. Rex shifted his weight and looked toward the door again. Not alert. Not tense. Just thoughtful. You did good, Daniel said quietly. Rex's ears flicked back. Acknowledgement. They stepped outside together a few minutes later. The air had cooled. Evening was beginning to settle in. The sky pale blue with hints of gray. Somewhere nearby a siren wailed, distant, unrelated, part of the city's steady rhythm. Daniel walked Rex around the side of the building, giving him space to decompress. The dog sniffed the ground, tail loose now, posture relaxed. He paused near the edge of the lot, nose lifting briefly into the air. Then he exhaled. Long, complete. Daniel felt his own shoulders drop. They didn't speak much on the walk back in. They didn't need to. Later that evening, after the shift had thinned and paperwork slowed, Daniel's phone buzzed. A message from the hospital. He stepped into the hallway to read it. He's stable. Resting. Still holding the bear. Doctors say his vitals improved significantly after arrival. Thank Rex. Daniel closed his eyes. He leaned his head back against the cool wall and let the breath out slowly. The relief came quiet, warm, spreading through his chest without urgency. When he returned to the main room, Rex was lying near his desk, head on his paws, eyes half closed. Daniel knelt and scratched behind his ears. "He's okay," he whispered. Rex's tail thumped once. That night, Daniel dreamed of smoke and sirens, and a small hand holding onto fur. But the dreams didn't linger. Days passed. Then weeks. The station moved forward, as stations always do. New calls. New shifts. New noise. But something subtle remained, a gentler awareness. Officers paused a second longer when children came in. Someone placed a small box near the front desk labeled Lost and Found. Handle with care. Rex noticed that too. One afternoon, nearly a month later, the front doors opened again. Daniel looked up. The same woman stepped inside. She looked lighter now. Still tired but not hollow. Beside her walked the child. Standing taller. Eyes clearer. And tucked under one arm. The teddy bear. Rex rose instantly. Not alert. Not guarding. His tail wagged slow and open. The child smiled. This time fully. They crossed the room together. The woman nodded at Daniel, gratitude written across her face. "He wanted to come back," she said softly. "To say goodbye." Rex lowered himself again, chest to the floor. The child knelt and placed the teddy bear gently on the ground. Not letting go, just sharing the space. Small fingers reached out and rested on Rex's neck. Rex closed his eyes. The child leaned forward and pressed their forehead briefly against Rex's head. No words. None were needed. Healing doesn't always look like fixing what was broken. Sometimes, it looks like returning something that was lost. And sometimes it begins with a dog who knows when to stay. The station settled back into its rhythms. Morning briefings. Late-night calls. The steady pulse of work that never truly stops. But something had changed. Not in ways you could point to easily. Not in policies or procedures or training manuals. It lived in the pauses now, the extra second officers took before moving a lost item, the way voices softened when children passed through the doors. Rex moved through it all like he always had. Calm. Steady. Aware. Daniel watched him more closely these days. Not with suspicion, with curiosity. He noticed the way Rex lingered near families when they entered the station. The way his posture shifted subtly around people who carried quiet grief. Rex never made a show of it. He simply stayed near. One evening, near the end of a long shift, Daniel and Rex sat outside the station as the sky faded into deep blue. Streetlights hummed on one by one, casting soft pools of light on the pavement. Daniel rested against the hood of the cruiser. Rex sat beside him, shoulder pressed lightly into his leg. "You know," Daniel said quietly, staring out at the street, "they train you for a lot of things." Rex's ears flicked. "But they don't train you for that," Daniel continued. "For knowing when something needs protecting, even when no one else sees it yet." Rex's tail moved once. Slow. Content. Daniel smiled. He thought about the teddy bear. About the child. About the way Rex had planted himself between the world and something fragile, not because he was told to, but because it felt right. That was the part no manual could teach. Weeks later, a small package arrived at the station. No return address. Inside was a photograph. The child sat on a hospital bed, teddy bear tucked under one arm, a faint smile on their face. On the back, written in careful, uneven handwriting, were 3 words. "Thank you, Rex." Daniel swallowed. He placed the photo on his desk. Rex glanced at it once, then looked away satisfied. Because dogs don't need reminders of what they've done. They just move forward. The years passed the way years always do, quietly, then all at once. Rex's muzzle grew lighter. His pace slowed. His naps grew longer. But his instincts never faded. On his final day of duty, the station gathered. No speeches. No ceremony. Just quiet hands resting on his fur. Soft smiles. A few tears that no one bothered to hide. Daniel knelt in front of him and pressed his forehead to Rex's. "You were more than a K9, he whispered. "You always were." Rex's tail thumped. Once. Strong. As they walked out together, the station doors closing behind them, Daniel felt a deep, steady peace settle in his chest. Because some bonds aren't built through commands. They're built through moments. Through staying. Through protecting what matters even when it looks small. And long after the shifts end, long after the uniforms are hung up, that kind of loyalty remains. Quiet. Unshakable.